Hey friends, welcome back to the Porch Podcast. My name is Stephanie Quick. I'm here with my neighbor, David Katz.
Howdy, folks.
You last saw us on day 296 of the war, and it is day 365 now. So, sorry it took us so long to come back. It is 10 past 12 on October 7th, 2024 on the Northern Front. And so we just wanted to take a few minutes today and kind of reflect on what it means to hit this kind of anniversary here. So, David, just remember to kind of hold your microphone the way I'm holding mine.
Okay.
Like right, almost like you're kissing it.
Okay.
Which brings me actually to some feedback from the first video. Before we get super serious, there was an inquiry. We have sad news for our listeners. David is in fact married. He is taken. But his wife did enjoy the comments. So.
Okay. So we're a year in the war. I'll tell you how life in Israel has been the past year. Our world's changed. It's the hardest year for most Israelis and Jews and anyone who's cares for our nation. It's been a year of grief and sorrow. It started with shock. Took a couple months to realize what's happening, and then it turned into grief. And it's been the hardest years of our lives.
Yeah.
And right now it feels that the Israeli nation is rising like a phoenix that rises from the ashes.
That was a recent shift, would you say?
Yeah, since the Northern Front started with the beeper attack and so on, we've been getting a bit of a smile back on our face, not because because we see hope at the end of it.
Yeah.
And the nation is united around. We still have a lot of inner problems with ourselves, but towards the outside, towards our enemies, and towards the rest of the world, we are united, and we're starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel of creating a different reality in the Middle East.
What would that new reality in the Middle East look like?
I think, first of all, the Israeli nation woke up after many years of living a comfortable life and going on vacations, and we realized that our enemies still want to destroy us, and the only way for us to survive and raise our families and create next generations is to get dirty if we need. And we have to, on one side, try to celebrate life. On the other side, we have to fight. And when you fight, there's always a price. Since we went into Lebanon, we have another 11, 12 casualties in the Northern Front. But,
and that's in the last week.
That's in the last week. And these are all our young men and women that are fighting. And we have a reality check again that will forever live on our swords on that part. But on the other hand, we're showing our enemies that we're here to stay, and if they mess with us, we're gonna mess them up. It's not worth it.
Yeah.
Like, they don't mind dying, but we do. But we have a cause to live for, and we won't bow down. We'll stay. And if we need to fight, we'll fight. And we will survive. And we are rising from the ashes. If it's Iran, Hezbollah, Hamas, any one of these Islamic fundamental terrorist organizations with extreme ideology needs to know that they're going to meet God soon, because we're going to send them there. That's what I would say where we're at right now. And
Yeah.
and it took us a while to get to the place that we need to, that we understand that we need to. This is what we need to do to survive. So that's how we need to live our lives, and that's how we'll live it.
Mm.
And we'll still work and have children and grandchildren and enjoy our holidays and celebrate life.
So the ground up then started a week ago tonight, which feels insane. Like I feel like every week has been a month. So if you like to think that it's been a year now, feels like it's been a decade. Just the longest crawl. But I'm just trying to think back through like some of the major events in the last, the few weeks, the pagers, and then the air campaign to take out a lot of, Hezbollah installations just behind the border, which really is preventing another October 7th, because when October 7th happened, part of the shock was that there was an infiltration and an attack, but the real shock was that it was Hamas and not Hezbollah.
Yes.
We've been anticipating this from up here for years, and so we're all sleeping a little bit better at night knowing that that's being dismantled. But war is war. Like as David was saying, we're not cheering on a loss of life anywhere. We're just hopeful that now we can kind of find the end of the road. And then what else happened in the last week?
Well, we have the Iranian attack.
The Iranian attack, the second one in 6 months.
Yes, and it's something that we've been talking about for past 10 years, that basically the Iranians are trying to unite Arab nations around us to come to a place where they destroy us.
Mm.
And now it's all full out. I mean, I would say we're at war with Iran. If the United States wants to acknowledge it or not, if the administration wants to acknowledge it or not, that's where we're at.
Yeah.
And it's,
I think once they not once but twice fire hundreds of ballistic missiles at your civilians, I think that's war.
Well, everyone has their own definition for it. I mean, we see we're at war, definitely. Yeah. Now, how it turns out, we'll wait and see. We're all feeling better, and we have the wind in our back, and we have truth on our side with the world support and without, with the United States and without. And we'll do whatever's necessary for our nation to survive. Yeah. And like I think we talked about it the last time.
This is the welcoming symphony for anybody who comes to the porch to hang out. All the dogs are letting us know. David's probably got a friend coming around the corner here.
But go inside. We're in the middle of something. Because I'm on air. A friend came over to visit. Yeah. To show support.
Really good whiskey, though.
A bottle of whiskey. Yeah, that's how we support each other.
So Iranian attack. So just to kind of review, they do the first one in April, mid-April of this year.
Yes.
First time in history, but it was such a happily anticlimactic event that we all kind of forgot that it happened, and then we'd go, gosh, you remember that time that Iran attacked? And they had sent 312, I think, kind of a motley mix of ballistic missiles, which go up into the stratosphere and down. You can't really detect them, or they just move fast.
No, ballistic go into the atmosphere and come back down.
And so it takes 12 minutes to get from Tehran to Israel. And then they had drones standard,
that took them whatever, 6-7 hours to get here.
So we had a lot of notice, is the thing. And then they threw in the ballistic missiles as like the cherry on top at the end of it. But there was this huge international coalition that helped knock them all down. The U.S., the U.K., I think France, Jordan, Saudi.
Yeah.
What was different this time around? It was just
different. It was Israel and the United States that joined in. If the Arab nations helped or not, if they have the ability even to help, they didn't admit it. Maybe they did join in. I mean, we do share the common interest
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
Iran is not only Israel's enemy; it's the whole Sunnite world enemy.
Yeah.
But they shot close to 200 missiles. None hit. Only shrap fell down in all over the country. And I imagine the next few days Israel will retaliate, and let's see how Iran will look after our answer. The world is yelling ceasefire, ceasefire, because no one wants to let go of the Iranian oil, and no one wants oil prices of oil to go back. The world's kind of behaving in the leadership of the United States in a way like the world did before War II. I mean, let's do business. Let's have a good life. Let's not face hard things in life, and let's sit down and eat a croissant and bacon and eggs and
Yeah.
and pancakes. But
Because until Churchill, by and large, people wanted to placate Hitler and just find a way to make it work. We just got out of the First World War. We don't want to go into another one. And I think the U.S. has a similar hesitation in that we remember 2003. We got into 20 years in Afghanistan that imploded in the worst way possible in August of 2021. So on one hand, even as an American, I understand the hesitation to re-engage in any kind of war, but I also think October 7th took the gloves off. 500 ballistic missiles takes the gloves off.
I think that the leadership of the world needs to decide on how do they want the future to look, and if we want a better future for the human race, we need to see that the forces of evil and fundamentalists all over the world don't pick up their heads too much and don't rise and come to power. And if we want to be free people, we have to also pay a price. And the world's behaving right now like we don't want to pay the price. We want to try to keep on enjoying it. And it's like I do think that it's like in the Bible when the Jewish nation was in Egypt, that the 7 good years and the 7 bad years. I mean, we're entering the 7 bad years, and we need to enter it with open eyes and heads held up, and knowing that what we're doing is the right thing to do.
Was it you? Somebody said this to me early in the year, and I was like, oh, gosh. But somebody in the room went, well, maybe COVID can maybe COVID was part of it. So we're not going into the 7 years. We're just in 7 years of that.
Yeah, I think COVID is a walk in the park compared to what the world's waiting for right now, because this is the beginning, I would say, of World War III. Yeah. We don't know how it's going. It doesn't have to be, but it is a battle of culture, and we need to enter it and to save our societies. Our young men and women that are fighting on the borders are not fighting there because they enjoy killing our enemies. They're fighting there because they have families at home, women and children and parents that they need to protect. And we're doing what we're doing out of it. We don't enjoy it, but we know that it's what we need to do to survive.
So what's at stake here? Say you win in Gaza, but you lose in Lebanon.
Not an option. Israel doesn't have an option to lose. That's what our enemies don't understand, and it always blows up in their face. They always think that they can destroy us, but we're fighting. If we lose, we don't exist. So we don't have the right to lose, and it's not on the chapter.
Right.
That's I can't refer to it anywhere else because I can't imagine anything else.
So that would be, in a phrase, Palestine would be free from the river to the sea. You lose, Jews are gone, Israel's gone.
Of course. I mean, there is no Palestine from the river to the sea. Israel exists, and Israel's going to keep on existing. Yeah. The sooner they will realize it and come to terms with it, their lives will get better also. Yeah. They're refugees, and they're living passing from generation to generation a life because they would prefer to keep on fighting and believing in something that won't exist. They will prosper only when they will realize that Israel's here to stay.
So how do you feel then as a father, a grandfather here in Israel for the toll and fatigue and grief of the last year, for the like a true existential threat for the last year, that today there are demonstrations and parades throughout the world championing Hamas and or Palestinian liberation?
I think I think the young generation that's leading it, at least from the Western side. I'm not talking about the Muslims, that I'm not expecting anything more from them. They are who they are. Yeah. They're celebrating for 2 days in Europe festivals for the massacre of the 7th of October. I mean, how can you celebrate a massacre? Mm-hmm. The ones that joined them from the West, if it's the young students in the colleges in the United States and the young students, young generation in Europe, are lost generations. They're the same woke you call it? Woke. Yeah. He, she, what? Yeah. Anyone, if someone wants to call himself a tree, then he'll be a tree. It's okay. So, and it's a lost generation, but they're stuck on a cause that they're not even willing to study what the truth is. So they're bending the truth to make it comfortable for them to believe in, but that's not the truth. Yeah. You know, if they learn history and learn a bit more about what is Hezbollah, what is Hamas, what is Iran, then maybe they would realize different, because if Iran, Hezbollah, Hamas would succeed, the young generation in the United States would also be, they wouldn't be running around the streets and with blue hair and...
Yeah. Wouldn't that be something if these things merged and Hezbollah guys had blue hair?
I doubt it.
They would never.
I doubt it.
Guys, okay, so you've got pastures around here, and you've got property a bit further away where you grow olives. Yeah. So what's going on with your horses? What's going on with your olives?
Well, my pastures got hit by a couple mortars a couple months back after winter season finished, and the pastures dried out, and part of it got burned, but we put the fires out real quick. We're starting to get real good with it. So when there's fires going, we're pretty fast to go out and put the fires out. Again, thank you, FAI, for donating big leaf blowers. After we got it, then the county saw it and gave it out to all the villages.
That's pretty good. That's cool.
And it helps a lot. Last week when
before we go to the olives, do you think we're out of fire season here now?
Well, half of the pastures are burnt already and grazed down. The other half is pretty much grazed down because of the cattle and horses are already ate down the grass, and we're exactly before rain season for next year. So when mortars hit around this area and fires ignite, then it's pretty easy to put it out because the grass is already eaten down.
And your livestock made it through okay?
Yeah, my livestock made it through okay on that part. A village over me, they got hit by a drone in the stable, and a couple of horses got killed and wounded. Yeah. But on that front, I'm fairly in good shape. Since the northern front broke out larger after we took out Nasrallah and the beepers, then I had big missiles, not even small mortars like we get here. Like I'm talking about big long missiles that they shoot them for 50 miles in. Yeah. That hit my olive grove and took out about an acre or two of trees that were just demolished. If it would hit on a house, it would be
And that hit about an hour before you arrived, right? Because you saw, it's a crazy story. He saw on his computers here that the irrigation system at do you call it a grove? An olive grove?
Yeah, an olive grove.
At the olive grove. So he thought, I got to get in the car and go down and,
And I got there, there was still a strong smell of gunpowder. And It was just a hole in the middle of the field a crater and probably I would say an acre of trees just burnt, disappeared.
Wild. And then it got, you think like, well, lightning won't strike in the same place twice, but then like a few days later, you guys got a hit right outside.
Yeah.
Which was wild because it was dry ground. So your friend sent you a photo.
And it created a crater probably about, I would say 15, 20 feet deep and about 30 feet wide.
It was wild, yeah.
In the middle of the field, like you see a picture of his kids inside, and they looked like this tiny.
Yeah, it was crazy.
But you always look at it and you say like, okay, it was outside of the village, but you say like, if this would have hit in a house in the village, the safe room wouldn't help.
Yeah.
There wouldn't be anyone there wouldn't be search and rescue. There would be DNA.
Right.
So even though it hit and it hurts, and I put a lot of work into it's only trees.
Yeah.
And when I saw it, the first thing that passed in my mind was, wow, it's good that it didn't hit a house.
Yeah.
On that part.
Yeah.
But that's what it is. But it's still, we're right now, Israel is finally retaliating. And like I said, it's the phoenix is rising out of the ashes of the 7th of October. And even today is a lot of grief. And we're sitting here and talking, and the boys on the other side, 10 miles from here, are fighting on the Lebanese side. And we can sit here and see the tank shooting and the explosives. And our heart is with our young men and women that are, it's their generation. They're fighting for their future. I'm 55 already. I've been rodeoing for quite a while. I mean, I could, if it finishes today, it's okay. But for them, they're fighting for their future.
Yeah.
So and we're succeeding. We're succeeding. The Hezbollah is not. It turns out that they're all bark and no bite.
Well, there was a very strategic campaign that.
Yes.
Once you cripple the upper echelons, it was.
Yes, but sometimes you do quiet work and the results come out.
Yeah, and in saying that, there was just within the last week, after the ground up properly started, then the army said, you know what, we've actually been doing like small targeted special forces raids over the border for 11 months. So this whole time that the whole North has been like, we have to do something. I thought, of course, I should have known.
Over the years, they all the time said, oh, we're going to destroy you. If you attack us, we're going to destroy you. Like Iran is still saying that, but it falls into talk is cheap.
Well, and I think one thing that's important, this is an English-speaking YouTube channel. Our organization is based in the U.S. We work all over the Middle East, but most of our audience is Western. And in the West, we have guilt, innocence worldview. But in the Middle East, you have an honor-shame worldview. So this is why it's so tricky sometimes to navigate what is actually a news report and what's just straight propaganda, because the value, it is more valuable in the Middle East to save face than it is to speak the truth. And if you actually read the Quran, you actually read the Hadith, if you actually read up on the life of Muhammad, you find that this man was a very deceptive warmonger who lied and falsified peace treaties so that he could get what he wanted, because in his mind it was like, from here to there it'll be free. The Arab Muslim movement is the most successful colonization movement in human history. Still standing, still going strong, and has deluded the West, because you see this when in that hospital early on, and Palestinian Islamic Jihad had dropped half of their rocket on a parking lot outside a hospital, and they immediately said that the Gaza Ministry of Health, which is Hamas, immediately said Israel just bombed a hospital and killed 500 women and children, and we know the body count immediately because we're,
And don't forget that they say children, about 17-year-old young men that are Hamas terrorists. They're 17. They're children. They didn't say what he had a rifle in his hand and he was planning a terrorist attack against Jews,
right,
and Israelis. So
then for something you could, like the Islamic regime right now, the Iranian regime right now, that is delusional in its public statements. I don't know if they actually believe it or if they're just saying it because they have to, because like to admit defeat would be so shameful, especially defeat against the sons of pigs and monkeys, you dirty Zionists.
Oh, I think, I mean, we're sitting here in the campaign in Iran. It didn't start yet.
Yeah.
And like they shot at us. They didn't do any damage. But payback's a bitch. And, in all the wars of Israel, they always try to paint a picture of winning even when they lost. Okay? Yeah. And it doesn't matter what they paint. It's we need to kick their ass, and we need to reshape the Middle East. And for that to happen, basically, at least in my opinion, we need to see that the regime in Iran falls after what they come up in 78, 77, 79. Since the late 70s, the Islamic authorities, Khomeini started it, are controlling Iran. The people are oppressed. And maybe we'll be able to, from this war, hopefully if the United States also steps in and makes it a bit easier, we'll be able to help the Iranian people uprise and have a change of regime. And it will be a much peaceful region because Iran is in charge of all the terrorist activity in the Middle East.
I do think that the moment that I agree with you, I think give Iran back to the Iranian people, give Lebanon back to the Lebanese. But I think that the moment that the Iranian regime falls, Turkey's going to just emerge from the shadows. Because the whole Muslim world is in a competition to see who can reestablish the caliphate first. And Erdogan really wants to be the guy.
It could be, but first of all, Erdogan wants to be the guy, but he's on he's already on his last stretch. Erdogan, he's not a young buck. I mean, he's and the Turkish people also, if he'll try to rise and try to behave like the neighborhood bully, he has too much to lose around the world, even though he can always do business with China and Russia because they're on the other side. But still, I think the Turkish people know better on that part.
Yeah.
I mean, the religious, there's a lot of non-religious or light religious that believe but want to maintain a peaceful life in Turkey. And he's been terrorizing the population in his own country. Mm-hmm. That's why he stays in power. And I think it's something that's going to pass.
Yeah.
On that part.
I hope so. I mean, for the last, 10 plus years, Turkey's been doing genocidal campaigns against the Kurdish people. And even just, recently you and I were talking because there was a Yazidi gal that was rescued out of Gaza.
Yeah.
And I thought, I used to live in northern Iraq during, 2016 on the heels of the kind of peak of ISIS through the Mosul campaign, or like the early part of the Mosul campaign. And it was like a weird, I don't want to call it poetry, but whatever like the bad version. Horrible irony that
but still it gives you another example between the good and the evil, and where our hearts are supposed to be and how civilized nations are supposed to behave in this situation.
Yeah.
And the world and the United States needs to get off the fence. The current, let's put it like this, I do believe that if the current administration in the United States would behave differently at the beginning of the war, all this could have been behind us already.
Yeah, I do agree with that. I think it could have been a much shorter war.
I'm not sure we would get our all our hostages back. I mean, that's a tricky situation. We still have 101 hostages in Gaza that we're waiting to bring home, and we won't be whole till it will happen.
Yeah, I mean, this Yazidi gal is a good example of like how much these terrorist groups cross-pollinate. How in the world, why in the world would a 10, 11-year-old girl who's kidnapped from Sinjar Mountain in the August 2014, it was summer 2014. I can't remember if it was June or August, but summer 2014. So more than a decade this poor girl has spent, ends up in Gaza because she got married off to a guy that was fighting for ISIS in...
A Hamas warrior that went to help ISIS.
You know, like a year ago, people started saying online, guys, listen, Hamas is ISIS, just to be like, hey, these things are like the other, but actually, Hamas is ISIS.
It's exactly the same. I didn't like all the definition over the past year that they say Hamas are Nazis, because I think they're not. The Nazis, first of all, wasn't religious.
Yeah.
Okay, it was racist, but in a different way, and Hamas is a religious ideology, and if you can compare it to something, it's ISIS.
Yeah.
I mean, Hamas kills also Palestinians. They don't want to kill only Israelis. They kill also Muslim Palestinians. Mm-hmm. Anyone who opposes them, they throw them off the roof. Mm-hmm. So I think on that part, to compare it to Nazi, it's not the right call.
Do you know that Hitler said, this is on record, he said to his top brass, it's unfortunate for us that we find ourselves in a Lutheran country, because Islam is so... if we were in a Muslim nation, this would be easy for us. We would just appeal to the yearning for a caliphate, and we could leverage them to build what we want to build. But he was like, but now we got to make it work with Luther in Germany. And unfortunately, Luther had his own, anti-Semitic railings at the end of his life that he could appeal to. But that's always stuck in my mind, that Hitler himself was like, ooh, you know what gives me everything I need for my little recipe that I want to cook? Well, Islam.
I don't see Islam as a strong nation. It's more they only seem strong because we show weakness, and we passed the stage. A lot of the Western world and the Western nations passed the stage of wars, and we want to prosper, but we're dealing with a nation and religion that views it differently. And we can't keep on ignoring it. If Israel's not going to lose, but Israel's fighting the war that is going to be fought in Europe in 10 years, and if the United States doesn't change their attitude, it's going to be fought in the United States in 20, 25 years. Mm-hmm. Anyway, the Muslims that everyone takes in and open their hearts and say, we'll show them a better way of life. They don't want a better way of life. They want to live their lives on your land.
Come here, buddy.
So, the sooner the world will know it, we can take care of the problem before it grows and becomes more than what it is. And it's already a monster.
Yeah. Well, I hope that in our next episode, we can celebrate the release and freedom of every last hostage.
Amen.
And the arrest and capture of Yahya Sinwar.
Amen. I don't want to arrest him. I want him dead. That's how I look at it.
I say that I just wonder if the nation needs proof, the guy went dark a month ago.
Let's put it like this. We need our people back.
Yeah.
Let's get our people back. Get our citizens back on the northern border after disarm Hezbollah.
Yeah.
And let's see where the Iranian campaign goes, because that's going to be... We have another year.
Yeah.
It's not going to finish that quick. So
yeah,
we'll have another chapter in a couple months.
All right. Well, thank you, David. And thank you guys for your support. We'll have some links for you underneath the video here. I'm Israel Chai.
I'm Israel Chai.